Oh shit. Here we go again.
The first things I think I want to say about the Veilguard is the obvious stuff. The game looks good, it's well optimized, it runs very well. Um, it has a decent combat system that can be enjoyed in a sort of MMO like manner. You know, if you love to build craft, and it's quite flexible with its skill points, you can reassign them whenever you want. I just want to summarize and say that some of the aspects here, from a gameplay perspective, they are enjoyable in a sort of mindless way, like the way you play, an MMO when you come and do your dailies. Now, unfortunately, that's not what Veilguard is selling itself as. This is supposed to be a cinematic story-based RPG, and unfortunately, on this ground, uh, 5 years ago, I made a video. It was about 1.5 hours long, the most work I've ever put into a single video. Unfortunately, the algorithm did not favor it. But it does exist on the channel, and it does provide a few anecdotes that I'd like to reference. Let's see how I concluded that video 5 years ago, and then we'll pick up from there.
The writing coming out of Bioware has taken a gradual decline with each subsequent release since Mass Effect 2. And while the games still have a few great moments here and there, they are becoming far less. While it could be possible to blame the increased focus on combat mechanics and environments, this does not really hold up when you consider that there are many other companies that have managed to achieve both, some with a lot less resources to boot. Furthermore, Bioware's representatives are some of the most unapologetic I've seen out there. To this day, there has been little admittance of the decline of the characters and the writing from both Andromeda and Anthem. It's like they don't even understand that these are the things that people care about when it comes to them. Instead, the blame gets placed on poor release windows, marketing, user engagement models, and such things. While it's true that all these things factor in, it's important to acknowledge that the most important thing people want from this company has taken a nosedive in quality. Do I think the reputational damage done by Anthem will hurt Dragon Age 4? Possibly and probably, but then again, AAA marketing departments are really good at what they do. Like, all it takes is one really good trailer and one representative to promise a long campaign, a return to meaningful choices, and a few other elements fans have been asking for, and many will be right back. Personally, like I said, I wasn't that angered by Anthem. I just noticed a number of things that I thought I should put in a video and present at once, but I was never that invested in this particular game to begin with. My primary interest, as I'm sure you can already tell, is in BioWare's other titles. So I know I'll be checking out Dragon Age 4, at least from a distance, maybe early on if it's well received, maybe later if it flops. Perhaps if Origin Premiere is still a thing, I'll use that. Either way, I won't pretend that I don't want to see the Tevinter Imperium or how Solas' story ends up. But hey, if the fearmongers are correct, maybe EA will close BioWare before then and I won't even have to worry about it. My belief is that BioWare needs to make a choice. Because right now, both their stories and their gameplay systems are half-assed. Nothing is really working out. Either commit to doing story-based single-player, high-quality stuff, or just abandon all pretense that you care about stories and focus on gameplay and make an amazing title that's multiplayer and focuses on loot, locations, like everything is really good in that kind of title. Just pick one of the two and do it really well. The problem right now is that you're not good at the thing you're trying to do, and you're no longer as good at the thing that you used to be good at. Like, you need to pick one side and commit to it. I think that will be the first step towards getting back on track or getting wherever they really want to be.
So, that was how I concluded my thoughts on BioWare and the direction of their studio 5 years ago. So, did they make a comeback? Did they return to form, as some people have said? No, they did not. Veilguard is actually a new breakthrough in bad writing. I knew this game was not going to have good writing. I just had no idea how bad it would get. Like, the writing is bad on multiple different levels. I honestly didn't think that it could actually be this terrible.
Despite it being the outcome, assassination is not about killing, it's about sending a message.
And what message would that be?
The crows rule Antiva, and Treviso will be free.
It also has the most homogeneous group of companions I've seen in a long time. Now, you might think that's controversial because how are they homogeneous? I mean, there's various racial types, Kunaris, elves, humans, dwarves. The group has someone who has a missing leg. They have someone who's androgynous and non-binary. They have an Asian elf, a black elf, an old man. What I'm referring to is diversity of alignments. These characters are all textbook good guys. We don't have... I'll use as an example Dragon Age Origins. We had Wynne, who was like a textbook good guy.
It's difficult sometimes to see people stumble and fall, wanting to pick them up, knowing you can't.
We had like Ogrim, who was like an alcoholic bastard.
Yep. A lot of tension around here.
You think so? Do you?
Know what I do to relieve tension?
I hesitate to wonder.
I polish the old weapon.
Really?
Yep. Give it a good shine with a dry rag, then with a little grease.
That's disgusting.
You're telling me you never gave your blade the old spit shine?
I think that's private.
Really? Sodding chantry and its rules. I like to do it right out in the open.
Where people can see you.
Yep.
Wait, what are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
Never mind.
We had like Sten, who came from a very sexist culture where, like women were not allowed to fight. And when he argued about this, he argued about it because that was his culture.
You are a Grey Warden, so it follows that you can't be a woman. Women are priests, artisans, shopkeepers, or farmers. They don't fight. Why would women ever wish to be men? That makes no sense. Do they also wish to live on the moon? That's as attainable. One of those things can't be true.
When we had someone like Zevran, whose first introduction to you is him trying to kill you, and you could immediately kill him off right there and then. We had Morrigan, who was extremely selfish and basically only wanted to look out for herself. And if you kept helping people, you would eventually piss her off because she did not like the idea of you spending your time and effort helping random civilians that don't help you that cannot return help to you for you helping them. Let's go to Mass Effect 2. We have someone like Zaid, whose loyalty mission involves you choosing between helping hostages or helping him get his target. If you choose to help the hostages, you lose his loyalty. He's not happy with you. My point is that Bioware in the past created characters with various different types of alignments. And that's what makes RPG groups rather interesting, especially in dark fantasy type stories. Baldur's Gate 3 last year also had that type of group. They all had various goals that didn't necessarily mesh with each other, and some of them were even at odds with each other. But unfortunately, the Veilguard are all just textbook good guys, and it is, I believe, this game's biggest failing. It is very clear that these characters have a certain fan fiction type approach that has been taken to them. What I mean by that is the creators are much more in love with their characters than the audience is, and they assume that we will like them as much as they like them. I guess this is always a problem you have when you spend so many years working on your characters and you don't realize that we, the audience, don't have the same relationship with them that you do. One of the greatest signs is that these characters have been like molded into the Bioware logo. When the game is starting, you see them show up in the logo. And it's like, who are these freaks? Why are they part of the Bioware logo? We don't know who these people are. It's almost like they were trying to do like the Marvel thing that they do in Marvel, where they show a bunch of characters in the logo at the start. But that kind of thing only works for established legacy characters. If you're introducing a bunch of people we don't know, why are you putting them on the logo? Like, are we supposed to give a shit? This game, I believe, takes the same gamble that Saints Row took, the recent Saints Row game. It introduces a bunch of characters that the creators are clearly very much in love with. And they gamble on the fact that you will fall in love with them as well. And if you do, then a lot of what they are selling you in this game is going to work. However, if you don't, then unfortunately this doesn't work. If you don't buy into the characters, then the Veilguard fails at that moment. It unfortunately cannot work. And unfortunately, I did not buy into these characters. I felt they were such a disappointment, especially because they all are just good guys. The character that I was most interested in was Lucanus. One, because this guy is an Antivan Crow. These people are a culture of assassins. Like, all right, that's cool. Secondly, he is a mage killer, not just an assassin. It's like, oh, well, a lot of the team are mages. This could create a lot of drama, you know? How are they going to react to the guy? It's probably going to be a lot of high drama with this guy around because he kills their kind for a living. That should be, it should create some interesting drama. And then on top of that, he's possessed by a demon?
Damn! I'm sorry.
Like, what a concept, right? Like, what a concept for a character. He probably is going to create so much chaos within the team. Unfortunately, no, that's not really the case. Again, I mentioned this in my last video because I suspected, judging by how the creator talks, the director would talk and the things that they would focus on and that first trailer, the game looked like it was primarily about, vapid stuff.
Velara mentioned the daily seafood recipe she wants to make.
The demon of Virantium is grocery shopping for the team.
Have you seen what they eat? It's a miracle you didn't all starve before you hired me.
The wing thing. Do you do that on purpose?
I don't. Why?
So you just naturally look amazing when spite helps? Some people get possessed and become mounds of pulsating flesh. You get wings.
Lucky me, my demon has a sense of style.
Why are you the way that you are? Honestly, every time I try to do something fun or exciting, you make it not that way.
They mostly focused on every time the director spoke, they talked about how the characters have been through a lot and they've been through a lot. And I was like, okay, as somebody that's interested in playing a badass fantasy game, can you please tell me something about this character that's actually cool? And no, they have no interest in that. When Lucanus is first introduced, he has like a cool thing. He has like a cool scene where he like murders a bunch of Venatori mages like on the spot, and it looks like, holy crap, this guy is going to be like, oh, this is going to get interesting. But he doesn't. After that, he's just a guy who's dealing with insecurities about his inability to do his job, and he's always just whining about coffee.
Finally. I thought you might leave me here all by my lonesome. Please. You think I'd ever pass up Cafe Pietra's coffee?
Like, all these characters have like one or two like things that they focus on. With Neve, it's always the job, If you take a shot for every time she says the word the job, you will die. With Bellara, it's always the artifacts, Everyone has like one or two things that they talk about, and the creators make sure that they keep repeating them every time that they're on screen. And for Lucanus, it's coffee. He's always oh god, I don't even want to go. I don't want to. I promised myself I'd make this video, but just talking about these characters is so depressing. This character is such a waste. He could be so cool, but he's completely wasted. Of course, the most controversial character is Taash, as I'm sure you're aware. Taash is a character who, unfortunately, Bioware has heaped a lot of this game's hopes on. They seem to, like the rest, they really love the character, but they've given the character a lot of disadvantages to begin with. First of all, they are the ones that have the gender identity, personal story. They are the ones with the most controversial appearance. Because the Kunari in this game look really bad as a whole, and then Taash in particular looks extra bad because they have all this weird bling onto them. Then they also have the most controversial personality because they're written like a 14-year-old child within the body of a giant.
What did you do?
I thought you would enjoy the chance to work with Rook's team. Do you not wish to stop these blighted dragons?
Of course I do. I might have decided to join on my own. Maybe after you talked to me.
I talked to you about not using your fire in front of the Antam. I will prepare potions for you to take. Would you prefer ginger or lavender?
The ginger.
Hassam Vinek. Rook, you will keep her safe.
And so it's very off-putting the way that they behave. It's very brash, you know. And like I said, that's subjective, right? I don't like it. I'm sure there are people that do. And so for people that do, it works very well. For people that don't, it really puts them off. It kind of reminds me of like Abby from The Last of Us 2. And unfortunately, this character is saddled with a lot of the heavy controversial material that's in the game. As I'm sure if you've been seeing the discussions around the game, a lot of them are focused around this character and their interactions and their side stories. Like Bioware really did this character no favors because there are actually good parts about their story. You know, there's a part to do with like their relationship with their parent who comes from a different culture and came from you know, a more traditional background, while they come from a more modern, more open and progressive culture. There is something there, you know, there is something there that you can work with, but unfortunately, like they have so much going against them that people are just not going to give them the chance, and I think that is unfortunate. Also, I'm not going to go over every single character. I just wanted to touch the ones that I think are the most controversial. The worst character of all is Rook. This protagonist, I would have really liked if Rook just didn't speak, because they are annoying as hell. Rook is the type of character that has nothing interesting to say, but they believe... No, let me rephrase it. If you've ever worked in a corporate job, you know that there are those people in management who think that the way that you encourage your workers or your colleagues is to simply tell them, we've got this, guys. We'll do it. We just need to pull together. We can do it, guys. You know? Let's believe in each other. We'll do it. There is nothing that we can't do. We have you know, those types of people.
Okay. We always knew this was going to be hard, right? And yeah, maybe it's a little harder now. More than a little. But either we stop this, or all of Thedas falls. So we see it through. All the way. Because no one else is going to.
Nice speech, Rook.
They don't seem to know any actual details about business or about the actual job, but they know that there are these leadership buzzwords that they're supposed to use in order to encourage their team, and because that's what it means to be a quote-unquote leader. And so they just keep saying things like that. I hated Rook. Now, that could be because I chose to play as because most of the dialogue options in this game mean nothing. I decided from the beginning that I was going to keep clicking the thumbs up options. So every time that the thumbs up option came, I just picked that one. The only time I didn't use that option is if it wasn't there and I had to then actually read the dialogue and pick something. But most of the dialogue in this game is completely meaningless. So that is my thoughts on the characters of the Veilguard. I think that the biggest failing this game has is, rather than organically introduce you to these characters and actually try to convince you to like them, the creators tend to sort of assume that you will like them because they like them, and I think that is a huge mistake. One of the other issues is during the game, every time you recruit characters, the next time you meet them, they suddenly have their relationship has developed and they all have like super close relationships with each other that you are not involved in. Now, if you carry them with you as you, at first, this was actually going to be a bigger criticism from me. But then I realized that as you walk around with them, if you walk around with those characters, they will actually start to talk, and then you can get to like experience a bit more of their relationships. But unfortunately, because you can't walk with everyone all the time, and the characters have been reduced from a party of 4 to a party of 3, you get much less of this development over time as you move around, and so you're bound to miss a lot of character development because most of it happens off screen. The first time that I found Bellara and Nave having a conversation, and Nave was calling Bellara Belle, like she had given her a nickname, I was completely shocked. I was like, wait, what? When did this relationship develop to the point that she's giving her like a cute nickname, like an older sister or something? Because I was like, huh? I've never seen these characters interact with each other, ever. So I don't understand why they're suddenly so chummy with each other. Now, in my second playthrough, I moved with the two of them before that point, and I realized that, okay, there are a few conversations that happen between them.
Well, anyway,
I met a shadow dragon once. Or, I think I did. I mean, they didn't say they were probably a good idea, but I was pretty sure.
Why is that?
Most Tevinter are condescending, even the nice ones, but they weren't. And you remind me of them, so it makes sense.
I'll take that as a compliment.
But you would have to be moving with both of them to get those conversations. So if you want to get the conversations with all the characters, you have to keep moving around with all of them and swapping them around in order to get the best out of them. Which unfortunately I feel is a big disappointment, because you do not want character development to be happening off screen or in such a slow fashion. In previous Dragon Age games, most of the big moments between the characters were in cutscenes where you were expected to run into those cutscenes. They were very difficult to avoid, and so you would see these developments and you would participate in them. They were not happening off screen where you're not around. And most of their developments were kept with you, the player character, such that you wouldn't miss them. Again, this approach that the developers decided to take with Veilguard, where the characters' relationships with each other are almost more important than their relationships with Rook, which unfortunately creates a disadvantage where they seem to be more invested in each other than they are in you, because the developers really, really wanted this to happen. I feel like at the end of the day, because these devs don't want to play around with the morality of these characters and they have a specific way that they want them to work, I think this game would have been better if they simply just made all the characters canonized, including Rook. Like, just tell a story like Uncharted, remove the dialogue options, just tell a straight up story and just, tell your story and do your characters the way you want. But when you put them in a role-playing game, you're meant to prioritize the player's choice and expression over your own personal desire to tell whatever story that you want to tell. I mean, you still have to have your overall story, like a good DM in a tabletop RPG. But you need to prioritize player expression within that story, not forcing your own personal outcomes every single time. And I think that is Bioware's and Veilguard's greatest failing as an RPG. It really, really does not prioritize the player's expression. It prioritizes their own personal desire to express their outcomes within these characters. And I think that was the greatest failure of the Veilguard as a whole. Also, there's that thing that people are saying that that the word Veilguard is not in the game. It is. It's at the very end.
The story of the Veilguard, a team of heroes who stood strong against evil.
But it's said a single time throughout the whole game. So yeah, those are my thoughts on the team. I wanted to really talk about a bunch of other stuff. I have so many notes regarding this game. I don't know if I'm going to make other videos to cover my other points, but I felt like what I had to say about this particular point was so much that it's ended up just being its own video. If you're interested in hearing my other notes, sure, I can make another follow-up video and just talk about the rest of the game. If you're interested in that, let me know. Otherwise, thanks for watching.